Hi everyone, today I am going to be doing this last piece of this lovely page from Rita Berman's book. I have already, as you can see, done the sky part. That's because it's very basic. I'm using my Bambino Jumbo crayons, and this is the largest, these are lovely large pencils actually, with this sort of lovely, I think this has got the clay crayon in the centre, I'm not sure really, but this is the lightest blue, and I've just done all the sky in as even a covering as I can. I'm not brilliant at doing it evenly, but that's what I've tried to do, and I thought I would do that off camera because it's not very exciting, and we can sort of crack on with the buildings and the flowers and things. So I'm just going to move it across. I shall zoom in a little bit now, so hopefully you can see a little bit better. We'll try and keep it all in shot as we're working through. So under the bridge we have water, so I'm going to start with that. There is a bluey greeny colour. There's no names on these, so it's a little tricky for me to sort of try and describe them, but it's as I say, the bluey green, and I'm going to use that for these waves. So I'm just going to do a darker application of colour here, so a little bit harder, and then less as we get towards the top of the wave, as if the light might be catching the top, and then the same coming from the other direction. Oh, I've just had a piece of chocolate, it's so yummy in my mouth. I just made a coffee as well, so when I finished I can have some coffee. I love 100% chocolate, so it was really intense flavour. Should last me for the whole of this video. I'm keeping all these the same. I may do some white detailing on them, but I haven't done any white gel pen on this particular page yet, so I feel that maybe if I did that it might look a little odd, so I'll probably just keep it as it is. You know, often with water I might do little dots or bits and pieces on there to indicate the splashing and the sort of foam, but maybe we'll just keep this as it is. I realise it's all the same colour. You could do different shades. With the Bambino pencils we've got 24. We don't have a big amount of different shades, and hopefully that contrasts with the sky well enough for us to be happy with that. I'm happy anyway. Now we've got the bridge. Excuse me. I am going to do the bridge with a layer of the orange. There are two oranges. This is the darker of the two oranges. I'll just show you so you can see the difference like that. I've chosen the darker. I'm going to start with orange and then I'm going to do some brown, but I want it to be sort of bright and cheery, so I'm going to do a whole layer of this, just quite lightish. They're quite intense colour, so even when I press lightly I still get a nice light, a nice bright intense colour. And then I shall use the browns after to add some details, different interest, 3D effects, whatever you might want to call it. So it's just a matter of going over this first. I don't know how well you can see, that's okay. I try and check that my hand isn't completely blocking your view. It's not always easy. I forget to look up at this screen because I'm obviously looking down at my book. But I can watch myself colour through the screen, which is what I'm doing now. But it's really odd. It's I'm sure you might be able to imagine that looking at a screen rather than the book. Obviously you were used to looking at the book. So I'm going to do the same here as well. I don't want this to all be the same tone of colour, but if we just get this basic colour, and the reason I'm doing orange and then brown is I want a nice gentle warmth and sort of fun to this. You know, I don't want it to just be brown. Brown can be a bit dingy. The brown in one of the browns in this set is actually really lovely and warm anyway, but we've done this page really brightly coloured, and so I don't want to move too far away from that by doing a sort of too conventional sort of colour, if that makes sense. So that's my basic orange. I may go back to that orange. I'm going to grab my brown though and do some bits and pieces of that. So this is the brown. You can see it's quite orangey. I think this camera picks up the tone quite well. I'm just going to sharpen a little bit. I use my Staedtler Noris Club, so it's not going to come into focus, sorry. There's 2 holes. I use the big hole and it just about works. You can see it eats up the top of here a bit, but I don't mind. It's more convenient. These pencils do come with a sharpener. I'm not sure where I put it, but oh, here it is. I'll show you. Come with that sharpener, which is just the right perfect size. Sorry, it's all a bit out of focus. I prefer a barrel sharpener which collects the bits. So I use my Staedtler one, which, as I say, it's just slightly too small really. So I'm just trying to do some sort of shadow under that handrail, as if it sort of overhangs. Well, I don't know if it's a handrail as such as a, it doesn't matter really, does it? And I'm going to do the same here. So we've got a little bit as if it's they're at different levels sort of thing. It doesn't always show up that well. It depends how hard I put down the orange really. So there's a bit of that, and I'm just going to go over some of these bits a little bit just to get rid of the white paper. There we go. Now for this is round, spherical I should say, so if I do a darker colour around the edge and lighter towards the middle, it will make it look more rounded. Actually looks more bare in the camera than in real. And here I'm going to do a little bit darker on the edge, on the edges, and the same with this. Now here this post is going to be closer to us, so this needs to be a little bit darker. I also want this line of bricks to be closer to us, so I'm putting a line across here, and hopefully that will help it to stand out a little bit. What I'm actually going to do is do the whole of this in this colour, making it darker at the bottom and fading it a bit towards the top, just by doing less layers of colour, and then leave the bricks in the orangey colour, just so there's a bit of contrast. I will go over them again in a minute to make them stand out a little bit more. So I'm just roughly doing some more of this colour around like that. I'm happy with that at the minute. So now I'm grabbing my dark orange, the same one we used before, and I'm going to really get those with a nice hard layer so they really stand out. I think, well, you know, Rita's drawn them on, so she obviously thinks they need to shine, so let's make them stand out a little bit. And it's fun, it gives us some more interest in the picture as well. Now we've got these bricks down here, they're still looking a little bit dull. I don't necessarily want them to stand out like this. What I'm going to do, I think, is do this bit in the orange, and then the other bricks I might do in the brown. So back to this brown colour for this bit. I really like these pencils, but the cardboard box they come in is falling to pieces. It's I haven't been. It's quite intricately tucked in and stuff, and I'm heavy-handed and I've managed to break it. But anyway, it's okay. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking I quite like that. I just feel that that post needs to be smoother, but I don't want it darker. So I'm going to grab a blending pencil. You can use any one you like. Really, I'm going to use the Prismacolor one just because it happens to be within reach, and just blend that up a little bit. See, I think that's working. If you compare the top with the bottom, it's just getting rid of the white a little bit, the white paper. So it's just sort of smoothing it around a little bit. These are quite good for that, the pencils. There we go. I do need a makeup brush to dust off the page. I have had a recommendation, I have put it on my wish list, but it's not, when it comes to Christmas time, that might be a thing to see if people want to get me. You might think I'm a bit weird. I don't wear makeup. Why do you want a makeup brush? So don't wear makeup. But anyway, for the flowers, I'm going to do all the greens the same. We've only got 2 greens in the Bambino set. I'm going to use them both. Just notice we've got a lot of blue on that flower there. Just going to rub it off before I start. I'm not going to be doing the petals yet, but excuse me. So this is the darker green colour. I'm going to do the stems and just the beginning of each leaf a little bit, just a little touch like that. I'm going to do the same thing across all of the flowers. I think I'm going to do the flowers all similar colours as well. I think it will just tie together nicely. I know they're all different, but I think it might just, because they're all different, if we colour them in the same colour, it will sort of tie them together. Forgot that one. I'm quite intrigued by these. They're just a circle, there's no petals. It's not that's not what I'm used to colouring in a flower, and I find it quite fun. I've got the centres to do as well as the petals. Now, flower centres can be a little tricky to get interesting and different. It can always be very tempting just to go in there with a yellow, and as lovely as that looks, sometimes it's nice to mix it up a bit. So sometimes I do green, or a little bit of green with the yellow. I'm going to grab my lighter green now to finish off these flowers while I'm talking about the centres. So I might use like a green like this sort of tone, and then some yellow as well. I'll show you, we'll do that. So a little bit of green at the bottom like that, and just blend it up a tiny bit. And the same here. And then we'll come in with the yellow. There's only a tiny space there, so we have to be careful. Now we've also got all this dotting in the background, these little circles. I think they might be pollen from the flowers, maybe. It's tiny, that middle. Or maybe they're going to be the colour of the petals. I think what I'm going to do is complete the flowers first and then have a think about what to do for that. And because our bridge is orangey browns, we're going to avoid orange. I think we'll probably go with pinks for the flowers, pinky purple maybe. Let's have a look. We've got quite a nice selection of pinks in this set. I think on this flower I can do those bits green, as if they're the sort of outside of the flower opening up. I just realised that one's the same as that one, but none of the others are the same. Oh, except these little ones. That's okay. Put a bit of green in there. A tiny hint of green in there. Oh, to do those petals. I think we're done. I'm just going to check. Yeah. So now I'm going to grab a yellow. There's an orangey yellow, but I'm going to go for the like a lemony yellow for the centres. I think it goes better with green. And I'm just going to go right over the rest of this, and hopefully that green will just blend in, because these are lovely for blending together. And we get a slightly greeny, yellowy centre. Of course, that one hasn't got a centre. Let's see, have we done them all? Did we do that one? It's very small. I think so. Yeah, sorry, just checking. Okay, so pinks and purples for our flowers. I'm going to go with these two, I think. Oops, so this is like it's not quite our lightest pink, and then this is the dark purple, I think. So we're going for these, and I'm going to start with the darker purple, and I'm going to do start off with doing this. So I want more purple towards that centre of the flower and less towards the outside of the petal. And what we might do with the little circles is do some pink and some purple, so that it just sort of matches in. And we have got a circle the other side of the bridge. I'm pointing at it, but it's not in shot, so that's really useful. Oh, sorry. I have thought often about teaching, doing a live class, like in person, I mean, but I certainly wouldn't be able to reach as many people. I think it's fun, but if I pointed to something off camera they'd be able to see. But I recently know there's someone who's lives quite close to me who does colouring, but it would obviously limit the market massively. And I'd also thought about doing a sort of proper step-by-step class on my channel, but at the moment I'm quite happy with what I'm doing, and I don't know, it would mean I'd have to think about what order to sort of teach things in, and I'm not sure I know really. I think it's better for you to just dive in where you want to, so if you've got a particular picture, a particular thing you want to learn, you can just have a look and have a go. So I'm not sure really. It's just I just play with ideas at times, and then I find I get so caught up in what I'm doing that I haven't got time to sort of do anything different anyway. Because I know some people would do sort of classes on Patreon or on there's a YouTube, a way you can charge people for YouTube, but I don't really want to charge you. I make a bit of money from the videos, from the adverts, as long as people watch them, and also a little bit from affiliate sales, and that's nice. It helps me put a bit of money towards new things, and so many people recently particularly have gifted me with beautiful products. Here's the pink going in. What I'm going to do is start hard on the outside and then reduce it towards the middle so that they blend together, hopefully, like that. So many lovely people, as I say, have gifted me new things. I don't need any new things to buy them, but I have had to buy the camera and the lamp, which obviously are expensive, and I haven't made back the money for those yet. So that's sort of what I'm will use the money towards. And but I do feel extremely lucky, so many people sending me lovely, lovely things, and it's, you know, I'm so grateful. You know, I say I don't need new things, but it's also always so lovely to have things from, you know, really lovely people, so kind. And it means that I've got more things to use on my videos, so I can vary it more. I sort of bear in mind, I sort of think perhaps people send me things that they want to see me using, so I try and make sure that I use them. The only thing is, the more that I'm sent, the more choice I have, so it's sort of spread a little thinly, if you know what I mean. So, but I do try to use everything really, but certain things I think suit certain pictures and things like that better, so that's good. But it's always very exciting choosing new things to have a go at and testing them and playing with them, having new toys. I'm sure you're all the same when you get a happy mail, as they call it, new things. And I've also started thinking that with books, like I always used to, because I'm a completist, I like to finish books. So I finished every single one of Johanna Basford's books, some of them twice, and I always feel like I need to finish a book if I've got it. But now I've been lucky enough to have quite a lot, I start to think that maybe I need to not worry about finishing the whole book or hurrying to finish or whatever, you know, to just enjoy it and pick the pictures I like the best, and maybe think I don't have to do every single one. I'm sure there are lots of people who have lots of books and haven't finished them, so it's just changing that mindset a little bit. But obviously the problem is that the books are so beautiful, I really want to finish them, but it's just finding time, because I don't colour full time, sadly. I have been the last couple of weeks. I've had a few weeks off where I haven't been sent any freelance work, so I've been able to do a lot, which is really, really lovely. And it means I've been able to record extra videos and things like that, which is nice. But once I get work again, it'll be trickier. Sometimes I'm without work for so long, I think I'm never going to get any again. and I think I'll have to just become a full-time colourist. That'll be lovely. But and although my husband says, yeah, you can afford it, we can afford it, I feel like I need to contribute towards the household a little bit, and because the children are 16, if they go off to university at 18, we're going to have to help them financially, because they won't get a very large student loan because of my husband's earnings, which we're very fortunate, but it means that I just have to be aware. I'm also very conscious of the fact that they might want to learn to drive, so there's the cost of that, and my parents and his dad are getting older. They might need help, and you know, although they both could afford it at the minute, you just don't know how long that's going to last. So there are lots of things that I don't spend lots of money. I keep it, I squirrel it away, so that we can, so although I've treated myself to a camera, I'm not going to sort of buy a lot of new things now for a while. So, right, flowers are done. I think you could use a blending pencil to just make the colours combine really nicely if you want to, but I actually find with these, they work pretty well without one. Now we have this building and the mountains. I'm thinking about what to do. I'm looking at my colours. Now last time I did a building like this, I did it in slightly browny yellows, which I think is what I'm going to do this time, because I don't know what building it is. Is it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is grab the brown firstly, and I'm going to do a little bit in the windows with this dark brown, and then let it fade down like that. And I hope that that will not only give the idea that there's a nice friendly warm light inside once we put the other colour with it, but it will fade the windows back into the background, because obviously that light is coming from inside, so it's a bit further away. So I'm just doing trying to do a little more at the top and less towards the bottom. Do the same with these gaps and this one. And then I'm going to grab, oops, try not to knock over my Sharpener. This is the slightly orangey yellow. I'm going to use this over the top, and I'm pressing harder with this one, because I do want that to look warm and inviting. I think this is supposed to be like one of the old ruined buildings, but I don't really know. I'm not well travelled, and I'm not well up with sort of architecture in different countries. When I do some London pages, I'll be okay. I know about that, just because I've been a few times. Being from the UK, we know a little bit more about our own buildings. Well, I have been to Amsterdam, but I can't say as I'm going to be able to be much help with the buildings. Now what I'm going to do with the main building, I want to do it with a light yellowy colour and some brown. I'm trying to the darker brown. So we've got a darker brown like this, but I don't know where. I think I'm going to start with the brown, because I find that yellow is quite tricky sometimes. So I'm going to do all these pieces in a sort of fairly solidish brown. What I find is that when I use yellow, if I press too hard, I can't say if that's true with this particular pencil. If I press too hard, it can burnish it into the page, and then no other colour will sit on top of it. So I have to be really careful about using it, or else I end up not being able to sort of do any shading or any sort of blending or anything like that with it. So I just am a bit wary of using it. So, and there's currently a challenge on Instagram for yellow flowers, and I'm just like, no. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put a light layer of yellow on the edge of each, brown, on the edge of each bit here. and we're going to go over that with the yellow in a bit. I'm trying to fade it along a bit so that it That's it. I started humming then. I try not to hum on camera. You can do without my humming. There's a reason why I don't do singing videos. Right, the bits inside the windows I'm just going to do with this as well, but I don't want them to look the same, so I'm going to do something a little bit different with those, but just darken them down a little bit. I'm going to grab the other brown, this one, and put a little bit of that over the top of this. And I might leave it like that, or I might go over it with yellow. I'll decide as I go in a moment. Now I don't think if I transition straight to that yellow from that brown, I don't think it's going to work. So I'm going to take a bit of this lighter yellow, darker yellow. I'm just going to go over that a little bit and take it into the centre a bit. But obviously I don't want too much because it's going to blend into the window colour where we used this yellow. Just trying to provide a little bit of a gradient. Just doing a little bit. If it doesn't work anyway, we can fiddle around with it in a minute. I'm also thinking about the mountains. I don't know why I always think mountains can be purple, but sometimes I do, but we have got purple flowers. So now I'm going in with the light yellow, I'm going right over and hope that it works. The mountains are going to be snow-capped, so we'll leave some white, but I'm not sure. Could do them green underneath as if they're sort of grassy. Because where are we? We're Italy, aren't we? So are they the Alps? Maybe. Because we're in Vienna or Venice? It's Vienna in Austria, not Italy. Oh my goodness, my geography, it's embarrassing. I'll just shut up. We'll just do that. We'll just call them mountains. Oh dear. My husband always says, well, didn't you learn all that when you were at school doing GCSE geography, which is the exam we take at 16? I said, no. In our geography we learnt about rivers, we learnt about glaciers, we learnt about like sort of erosion and things like that. We didn't learn about countries. Right, I'm going to get my blender and just try and blend. This is the Prismacolor one. And just try and blend that dark brown into the yellow a little bit. It may not work because the yellow's on the top. We'll see. I think that's working a little bit. But no, we didn't learn anything about. We did a case study on a few countries when we did things like urban business districts. I can't remember which countries. I think we might have done countries in India, capital towns in India, but I can't really remember. I do know India's a country. Right, that's a good start, isn't it? So mountains, I'm thinking, getting distracted thinking about mountains. What I'm going to do, this purpley pink colour, I'm going to do my mountains in that colour. I'm just going to do a light amount. Now we've got a footpath on this one, look. So I'm going to leave that for a different colour. As I say, I'm going to leave the top white for the snow. I think I might get a pink, a light pink for the rest. Now we have this really light pink. I'm just going to go over the top of that in that to sort of, it will burnish it a bit. I'm not going to go over that path. It's going to be in a different colour in a minute. I don't know why Pink Mountains appealed, but why not? That's what I say. Computer's gone off. So sorry, you'll hear it switching back on. It decided to sleep itself. I need to adjust that. I just wanted to need to keep an eye because my son sent me a message earlier. It was actually nothing that I needed that was important, but I always like to just be aware of what's going on. Maybe we'll use this colour that we used before, but in a dark. Push it down quite dark. The path. Yeah, he said he needs me to test him on something, so that's okay. But he was just telling me so I remembered, also that he remembered. Now what we can do too is just put a little bit of extra colour along the edges where the mountains cross over each other. It might help to give us a slightly more three-dimensional look, like some of them are behind each other. Like that. I think that's worked actually. Okay, so let's reveal the whole of this little bit for you. Let's zoom out so you can see and decide whether you're happy with that. So you can see I've got a piece of paper tucked in behind the page. So there is that bit, and I suspect you'd like to see the whole page. I don't know if I can zoom out enough for that. I'm sure I can. So there's, you can see my pencils. There's the whole of that page. It's a bit bright. Let me just push my lamp back a bit so it's not so, it's a bit dark now at the top. So you haven't got it, it's not bleached out at the very top. And then if I move it across, you can see how it looks together with, if I zoom out just a tiny bit more, together with the other side, because we've got this whole sort of double page spread going. Now I decided there is a background on that right hand picture, although you can't really see, it's a very faint blue. So the clouds, as you can probably see here, the clouds are white and the background is slightly blue and there's a slightly grey road, but I kept it quite simple. And there's the whole double page. I've had such fun doing this page. I will be digging into this book again. I've already got my next idea of where I'm going to go for next video. But that's that one all done, and it's been great fun. I hope you've enjoyed it too, if you've coloured along or if you've just watched. And thank you so much for watching, and happy colouring.